کچھ دیر ذرا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا اس طرح سوئی تکلم وہ یتیمہ بی بی ماں اٹھاتی رہی اٹھی نہ سکینہ بی بی پھر نہ بانوں نے کہا میری سکینہ سو جا ہے آجا اصغر کی جگہ میری سکینہ سو جا محمد والے محمد صلوات
بر محمد والے محمد صلوات نکلا ہے جنازہ کوئی اللہ کے گھر سے نکلا ہے جنازہ کوئی اللہ کے گھر سے افسوس کہ مسجد میں نمازی گیا مارا افسوس کہ مسجد میں نمازی گیا مارا کچھ کام نہیں یہ محشر قیامت کے اثر سے نکلا ہے جنازہ کوئی اللہ کے گھر سے زینب سے یہ کہہ دو کہ وہ دل کھول کے روئے زینب سے یہ کہہ دو کہ وہ دل کھول کے روئے شبیر کی ہمشیر ہے رونے کو نہ ترسے نکلا ہے جنازہ کوئی اللہ کے گھر سے عباس ذرا زینب مضطر سے خبردار عباس ذرا زینب مضطر سے خبردار فریاد میں ہٹ جائے نا چادر کہاں سے نکلا ہے جنازہ کوئی اللہ کے گھر سے پر محمد والے محمد صلوات
فاتحہ. اللہم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. وارث و صابر و شاکر تھے جو راضی برضا. وارث و صابر و شاکر تھے جو راضی برضا. ارے موت سے تھے نہ ہراساں نہ غم زیر جفا. پھر بھی احساس کا غربت کے عجب عالم تھا. اور یاد آتا تھا غریب الوطنی میں کیا کیا. یاد آتا تھا غریب الوطنی میں کیا کیا. کبھی شبیر کے روزے پہ نظر جاتی تھی. کان میں ہائے حسین کی صدا آتی تھی. کان میں ہائے حسین کی صدا آتی تھی. کبھی دادا کے نجف میں تھا کلیجہ پاماں. اور کبھی دادی کے بقیے کی جدائی میں نڈھا. کبھی بغداد میں بابا کی لحد پر بے حال. اور کبھی روزے سے پیغمبر کے بچھڑنے کا ملال. کبھی روزے سے پیغمبر کے بچھڑنے کا ملال. در و دیوار مدینہ کبھی یاد آتے ہیں. ہائے نانا کا وطن کہہ کے تڑپ جاتے ہیں. ہائے نانا کا وطن کہہ کے تڑپ جاتے ہیں. شکل دیکھی تھی نہ پردیس میں جس بیٹے کی, اس کی تصویر بھی رہ رہ کے جگر ملتی تھی. دل میں ارمان تھے نگاہوں میں غم مایوسی. اور موت شہرک کے قریب اور بہت دور تکی. اور موت شہرک کے قریب اور بہت دور تکی. یاد فرزند دلے زار کو برماتی تھی. جیسے صغرا شہ مظلوم کو یاد آتی تھی. جیسے صغرا شہ مظلوم کو یاد آتی تھی. ارے دھیان آتا تھا کبھی کرم میں اس خواہر کا. صورت زینب کبریٰ تھی جو بھائی پفدا. سوچتے تھے کہ وہ ہوتی تو یہ ان سے کہتا. ارے ابھی کم سن ہے بھتیجا اسے تم کو سونپا. ارے ابھی کم سن ہے بھتیجا اسے تم کو سونپا. سر پرستی اسی تم ہی میری جگہ پر ہو. یہ سمجھنا کہ یہ سجاد ہے.
آج آپ کوئی اعمال انجام دیں، آپ آج کوئی زیارت پڑھیں، آپ زیارتوں پر جائیں تو کوئی کتاب آپ کے ہاتھ میں ہو. گھر میں اگر آپ کے پاس قرآن ہے تو اس کے ساتھ ضرور وہ ایک کتاب موجود ہے جس کو مفاتیح الجنان کہتے ہیں. کتنے خلوص سے لکھی ہوگی تو جس کے لیے لکھی اس نے گھر گھر اس کو پہنچا. یہ ہوتا ہے اخلاص عمل کہ جب انسان خدا کے لیے کرتا ہے تو ایسا نہیں کہ آیت اترنا ضروری ہے، آیتیں اتر چکی لیکن اللہ اس انداز سے اس کو ظاہر کرے گا. وہ نبی کہ جس کو اللہ کا حکم ہوا کہ صبح جانا تو تم کو جو چیز سب سے پہلے نظر آئے اس کو کھا لینا، اور جو چیز تم کو دوسری نظر آئے اس کو پناہ دینا، اور تیسری چیز نظر آئے اس کو مایوس مت کرنا، اور چوتھی چیز نظر آئے تو تم اس کو چھپا دینا. اس طرح 5 چیزوں کے لیے کہا، لیکن میں وقت بہت تنگ رہ گیا. یہ 5ویں چیز تھی کہ جو چیز تم کو نظر آئے اس کے بعد 5ویں تم اس کو چھپا دینا. تو شروع ہی سے یہ بہت ہی دلچسپ ہے. یہ 5 چیزیں دیکھیں جن کا ذکر میں الگ الگ موقع پہ کر چکا ہوں. اس وقت اس کا ذکر کرنا چاہتا ہوں. 5ویں چیز اس کو چھپا دینا. وہ اٹھے صبح دیکھا کہ پہاڑ ہے بہت بڑا، کہا تھا کھا لینا، میں کیسے کھا لوں گا. لیکن جب ہمت کی آگے بڑھے پتہ چلا کہ یہ پتھر ہے چھوٹا سا، پھر پتھر کو اٹھائے کیسے کھاؤں گا، جب کھا لیا تو بہت مزیدار لقمہ تھا. یہ پہلا. آخری کیا تھا؟ آخری یہ تھا کہ انہوں نے دیکھا کہ سونے کا خوبصورت تشت تھا. چھپا دینا. اچھا چلو چھپاؤ. اب جتنا چھپا رہے ہیں اتنا یہ اوپر کے اور سامنے آ رہا ہے. چھپا چھپا کے پریشان ہو گئے. کافی جب دیر ہو گئی اور نہ چھپا سکے تو اسی طرح چھوڑ کے چلے آئے. بھئی میری جتنی ہمت تھی، جتنا وقت تھا، جتنا موقع تھا، میں جتنا چھپا رہا ہوں یہ اور اوپر چھوڑ کے آ گیا. اور اس کے بعد پھر جب اس کی تشریح کی تو ان تمام 5 مرحلوں کا ذکر ہوا کہ بھئی
تڑپتا تھا دین میں بہل، وارث و صابر و شاکر تھے جو راضی برضا. اللہم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
صلوات. Assalamu alaikum. Before we get started, I'd like to present a brief inauguration of our guest speaker, Zakir al-Bayt Hajj Jalal Moughania. He is a lawyer, lecturer, and author. Sheikh has written and translated original works on Islam such as Grand Ayatollah al-Hakim's A Candidate's Conversation. He is also the co-author of The Pope Meets the Ayatollah, an introduction to Shia Islam. His most recent work is a historical narrative on the life of Imam Ali. It is called Ali, the Elixir of Life, or Elixir of Love, sorry. In his legal practice, Dr. Moughania works as a corporate attorney at Verandum LLP, a firm serving innovators and leaders to serve a century. He also serves on the board of directors of the Mainstay Foundation. Also, he holds a Juris Doctorate in law. At last, we thank Maulana for accepting our invitation, and we hope to attain the most from him. Without further ado, please welcome Sheikh Moughania with a loud salawat.
عيد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد. And a third time in love of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, the loudest of your voices. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الحمد لله رب العالمين الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب والحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, we ask Allah to send His greatest peace and blessings again upon Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. We praise Allah for all the blessings He has given us, and the greatest blessing being that He allowed us to be of the ones who remain steadfast, dedicated, and loyal in the path of our Master after the Prophet, the Commander of the Faithful, the Prince of the Believers, the Protector of the Prophet and His message, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. We praise Allah for this blessing and every blessing, for without Allah we would have nothing. Assalamu alaikum, my dear respected brothers, wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We're here commemorating with one another yet again as we approach the days of Arba'een. How many of you have family members or friends, people that you know from your community that are making the walk towards Karbala as we speak? How many of you? MashaAllah. How many of you wish you were with them making that walk? I was just speaking to my brother Dr. Zishan earlier, and we were both saying how much we feel that sense of FOMO, right? That sense of we're missing out. What if I told you that you and I here tonight perhaps can also participate in the rewards of those who are walking towards Imam al-Husain alayhi salam in taking those steps of Lady Zainab in renewing that pledge of allegiance to the Master of the Free, Imam al-Husain? What if I told you that you and I can do the same? That you and I, no matter how far we may be in distance, physically, spiritually, intellectually, in our heart and our soul, we can be so close to Imam al-Husain alayhi salam, no matter where we are in the world. You may not even need to be in that place, even though the blessing of being in the land of Karbala, heaven on earth, truly, with no exaggeration in every sense of the word. But can we be close to Imam al-Husain alayhi salam from here in greater Chicago? Can we? Is it possible? Yes. Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam teach us how to stay connected with them no matter where we are in the world, no matter how far we may be physically. Ziyarat al-Imam al-Husain alayhi salam, Ziyarat Ashura, Ziyarat Warith, all of these variations of our visitation to Imam al-Husain alayhi salam are things that Ahlul Bayt emphasized on us, and our scholars implemented themselves on a daily basis. One of the great scholars of the 20th and 21st century, he was known not only to be a great faqih, a great jurist, but he was also known to be one of a very high level of spirituality. This man was sought after by young and old alike, by specialists in the field of the studies of Islam, and people like you and I who are just trying to get by. People sought him out. They asked him, Shaykhna, before he passed away, do you have any regrets? He said, I have one regret. You want to know what that one regret was? This was a man who was a marja of taqleed, was a man who people spiritually would seek him out as a mystic of his own time. And they asked him, what is it that you regretted? He said, I have one regret. What is it, Shaykhna? He said, I wish I would have read Ziyarat Ashura. You would think every day? No, he said, I wish I would have read it more than once a day. Now I want you to think about this. And tonight and in the next few nights, What I want to do is I want to inject in all of us some reminders on how to practically build this relationship with Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. For what purpose? You and I, we have a limited time in this place called earth, in this world. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, he says, "Ad-dunya sa'a, faj'alha ta'a." This world is but an hour. So do what with it? Make it in servitude, in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's a certain paradigm that we have as followers of Ahlul Bayt, as Muslims. People that say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, there's a paradigm, there's a worldview. You and I may see the world differently than everybody else around us. But of course, even if we have that special lens, we're not arrogant and we don't mistreat people. We don't threaten people. We live in our societies in a way, if we have something good to offer, we share it. If we are different than those around us, it's okay. Let us be. We will continue. Be a mercy to those around you. Just like our Holy Prophet ﷺ, he was sent to humanity as a mercy to it. And we as his followers are hoping to be an extension of that. So in these nights, I want to help us remember the paradigms, the worldview. Because guess what? You and I, when we come to this masjid, to this Husainiyah, to this place, it's not meant to be where you and I, we remember faith here, and then as soon as we leave, we go back to our old ways. We go back to the rest of our life. Ad-Deen, religion, is not one part of our life, and then you got your business, your education, your friends, your school, and all the rest. That's not the way it works. Well, it could be if you want to be not successful. If you don't want falah, if you don't want success as ordained by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Or you and I can take our religion, can take Muhammad wa al Muhammad and make them the foundation of our lives. You want to see how we can make them the foundation of our lives? In the next 5 nights, we have the honor and I have the privilege of being of service to the servants of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, to remember Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in these next 5 nights. In these next 5 nights, I'm going to be talking about, amongst a number of things, I want you to take away with you in these next 5 nights, 5 dimensions of our life, and the foundation of those dimensions being ad-Din al-Islam, our religion, Islam. The 5 dimensions, I'm going to briefly go over them, and tonight we're going to focus on one of them, and the rest of the nights we're going to focus on each of them. Social, so you and I, we each have a social aspect to our lives. Financial, you have to sustain yourself and your family. 3, physical, you and I, we have these bodies, we have to do something with them. Without these bodies, we can't do anything else. 4, intellectual, this mind, how are you nurturing it? How are you spoiling it? 5, spiritual. And notice, I didn't say religious, I said spiritual. Why? And we're going to see it re-emphasized throughout the nights. Religion is the foundation. So you will find that this center, IEC Husaini, will be a foundation for your success integrated into every aspect of your life. Not one pillar or one vertical of your life. Are you ready to move forward? Ready to move forward? Okay. Before I move forward, I need a little bit of energy. I'm going to bring some energy, but I need some energy from you. Now, the salawat is one of the best deeds that you and I can participate in. In addition to that, many of you have probably heard the calls in the land of Karbala over these days, since the 10th of Muharram, since the beginning of Muharram, of Labbayka ya Husain. Have we not? Who's heard that? The roaring of the lions of Abu Abdullah that are coming in the millions for Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, saying, Labbayka ya Husain. Who's been hearing it? Who's been hearing it in the videos on Instagram, on TikTok, and you can't help but call out Labbayka ya Husain. You know what Labbayka ya Husain means? You know what labbaik means? I am here. Ya Aba Abdullah, I am here. Because on the day of Ashura, when Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam said, هل من ناصر ينصرنا هل من معين يعيننا. Is there anyone to aid us? Is there anyone to answer our call? So you and I, 1,400 years later, and for 1,000 years more, we will call out, Labbaika ya Husayn. Who here will call out, Labbaika ya Husayn? Again. Labbaika ya Husayn. Again. In these nights, your voices, not through the volume, your voices need to be louder through your hearts. I want to feel it from you. And I want you to challenge me to make you feel Labbaika ya Husayn. Because I will tell you this, in this night, in the remembrance of Imam Raza alayhi salam, our 8th holy Imam, Imam Raza told his companions, he said, if only you were to share the virtues of what we speak, the people would follow us. Just share what Ahlul Bayt shared. Imam Raza is telling us, just tell the people what we say, they will follow. You and I, we don't need to come up with new philosophies of the day. You and I need not to come forward and try to solve the world's problems. You and I need to really ground ourselves with humility. You and I need to think humbly. You and I need to realize we have everything that we need at our disposal if only we reflect. His great-grandfather, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, what would he say? He would say, it's attributed to him, your sickness is from you, yet you do not sense it. Your cure is within you, yet you do not know it. Your sickness is from you, yet you do not sense it. Your cure is within you, yet you do not know it. You think that you are something small, yet within you lies, is enfolded the entire universe. You would not need to look at anything outside of you if only you would reflect. My brothers, my sisters, when we're thinking, and by the way, forgive me for my ignorance, are sisters listening or is it just brothers? Okay, excellent. So I started off with brothers, the sisters are probably thinking, oh, he's not addressing us. My brothers, my sisters, my dear respected elders, when you and I are coming forward in the remembrance of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam, we need to realize what we have. My young brothers, my young sisters, be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you have as a Shi'i. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam and Imam al-Baqir, there was a very crucial period of time with the decline of the Umayyads and the rise of the Abbasids. There was a vacuum that existed. This is the precursor to Imam Raza alayhi salam and how Imam Raza alayhi salam was taken to the land of Persia where he was a stranger. Like his grandfather Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam who came to the land of Karbala, he did not know that place. That place was not home to him. Imam Raza alayhi salam was also a stranger in Tus, in this place of modern day Iran. But subhanAllah, now you look, wherever Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam lived and died, for them there are followers, Shia, muhibbeen, lovers, that will never leave them. Never. Now you and I, my young brothers and sisters, I want you to realize something. It doesn't matter where we are in the world. Physically, it does not matter. In fact, I will tell you, wherever we are in the world, we are destined to be successful. Wherever we are. As a society, as Shia of Ahlul Bayt, as followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, we have been designed, we have been taught by our Imams that we can be successful wherever we are. It doesn't matter the culture, it doesn't matter the language. I want you to think about your ancestors. Each and every one of us. Where do we come from? Where are our roots? Where are our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors? Where do they come from? What did they have? How did Islam and Wilayah come to them? Think about it. Think about it for a few moments right now. And now where are we here in the world? Many of us may have come from the Eastern Hemisphere, whether it be in South Asia, in the Middle East. My parents, my grandparents came from Lebanon. They escaped the civil war in Lebanon in the 70s. They came here to the United States, settled in Detroit. Many of you, some of your families may have come, settled in Chicago right away, or have been in different places in the world. Think about your ancestors and where they thought about their grandchildren. Now think about right now, even the young men and women here. Think about where your children, your grandchildren are going to be. No matter where they go, no matter what language they speak, did our ancestors think, did my grandfather think that his grandson would be sitting on the minbar of Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam and giving a majlis in the English language? Probably not. Probably not. But look at the blessing of Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam, that his love will be shared in every language across every corner in the entire world. You and I, we may be thinking, well, I don't know if the English majlis is going to hit like the Urdu. You and I may be thinking about the musibah in English, I don't know if I'm going to connect with it like the Urdu or the Arabic or the Farsi. My dear brothers and sisters, the challenge is upon us so that we make sure that any language that we speak, be it English here in the United States, German in Germany, Portuguese in Brazil, and I'm giving you live examples of people that I'm talking to on a weekly basis, that the love of Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam will not only be understood by the mind and the intellect, but will enter the heart of every human being across the world in every language. You and I are a part of history in the making. You and I. Now, I love hearing, especially my young brothers and sisters, when they're reciting, my young brothers, when they're reciting in their mother tongue or their parents' mother tongue, whether it be in Urdu, be in Farsi, be in Arabic. My mother tongue, my parents' mother tongue is Arabic. In fact, I grew up, part of my childhood was in Lebanon. And I was able to have a foundation in the Arabic language through that experience that my parents gave me. But my children are not necessarily going to have that experience. My children are second generation. And their children are probably not going to have that experience. But I will tell you what I will guarantee. They may not be as Lebanese as me. They may not be as Lebanese as their grandparents. But they will be more Shia than me. And they will be more Shia than their grandparents. Why? Because every day they are integrated in their religion, in their faith, through understanding. And you and I, let's take the language that we speak on a daily basis and make it, whatever it is, let's make that language be the one that we recite the tragedy of Imam al-Husain and the virtues of Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salam throughout the year. And not wait just for these occasions. Let us be those who every single day we pound our chest for Imam al-Husain alayhi salam in the times of mourning and in the times of celebration. We rejoice, we smile, we embrace one another in the memory of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Live our lives that way. And I'll tell you this. The challenge is not for our young brothers and sisters. They're ready. You're ready, aren't you? You're ready. The challenge is for us to support them in their journey and in their growth so that they see and have what they need as a backbone. My daughter just started her first grade year at our local Islamic school in Dearborn. You know what she tells me? She says, Baba, when are the Islamic events going to start? It's like, Baba, the classroom isn't Islamic enough. I'm like, Baba, it's not Islamic enough. It's an Islamic school. Subhanallah, why? When we allow our youth and we support them and allow them to grow and be inspired as they should, and we get out of their way. We just provide the platform and we facilitate in a way so that they can grow, inspired by Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And they will grow. But it's on you and me to really embrace that or not. Now, how do you and I, if we have this set, now how do you and I, when we are facing the challenges of our society, people that don't believe as we do, people that don't practice as we do, and people who are directly in their lifestyles and the things that they are doing, directly in conflict with what we believe in the lifestyles that we want to try to oppose. Now, how are you and I designing our social dimension of our lives? Who are you spending your time with? Who are you spending your time with? Who are our children spending their time with? What do our gatherings look like? As soon as we leave, alhamdulillah, it's a blessing. We're all coming here. But let's have the tough conversations. You and I are coming here for the Husainiyah, for the mosque, coming to the Majlis of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam for the Arba'een. But then, after the Arba'een, what are we doing? How are we maintaining the Husaini lifestyle? And does the Husaini lifestyle mean that you drop everything else in your life? Absolutely not. Remember, the religious aspect is the foundation. So that when I want to do things in my life, it's constantly checking me. The Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When we mention these individuals, and by the way, one of the things that I commend you, your community, for truly implementing a sunnah, a tradition that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam established and encouraged his followers to have, which was, Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam taught us, when the name of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mentioned, it's not something, you see what I just did? When the name of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when it's mentioned, you can't just mention it in passing. You have to couple it with the praise and the blessings upon him. And then you respond in the same. That's a beautiful tradition. Maintain it. Now what I want to take further with you, not adding to the tradition, but perhaps providing a little bit more context as students of our faith and students of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. When you are thinking of our Holy Prophet, I want you to realize this imagery in your head. What kind of man was he? Because when you understand Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will understand the rest of the Imams of Ahlul Bayt very simply. The Holy Prophet was one who was described, a smile never left his face. The smile never left his face. You and I, how do we greet one another? How do we embrace one another? How do we interact with one another? If we are not implementing what the Holy Prophet said was the most basic form of sadaqah, of charity, to engage with believers through, being that smile, then I think we may be missing the point. The Holy Prophet himself would say, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمِ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent. Why were you sent, O Muhammad? So you love Ahlul Bayt. You love Ahlul Bayt. You're coming for Imam al-Husayn. You're coming for Lady Zainab, for the Shahadat of Karbala. Are we not? Who here is coming to mourn the Shahadat of Karbala, the martyrs of Karbala? Who here is coming? Brothers, there's not a second program. It's either this or nothing. Who here is coming to mourn Imam al-Husayn and the Shahadat of Karbala? Ahsantum, mashallah. If you don't know what Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came for, then our mourning for the Shuhada of Karbala may be a little off. Let's dig deeper. So the Prophet said, I have come to perfect the best of ethics, the best of manners. Now we're thinking what? The social dimension, right? When he told me I was sent to perfect the best of ethics, the best of manners, and he would implement it time and time and time again with friend and foe alike. In fact, most of the time it was being shown to his foes, to his enemies. Do you know how many times, we have a few stories here and there that we mention about the Holy Prophet. One of a Jewish woman that used to trash the Holy Prophet and throw filth on him on a daily basis. I want to share another story with you. Because in these nights, I want you to see things through the lens of certain members of Ahlul Bayt that maybe sometimes we don't realize. For example, like the lens of Lady Fatima, the lens of Lady Zainab, in the musibah, in the tragedies that we're going to recite on a daily basis, I'm going to try to bring things forward through her eyes. But I want you, when you're looking at the eyes of Lady Zainab, think of the woman before her, her mother, Lady Fatima. Lady Fatima alayhi salam was only about 3-4 years old. In this particular instance, the Holy Prophet took her with him to pray at the Kaaba. And as he was praying, Lady Fatima alayhi salam was playing. She's 3-4 years old. She's playing, she's going around, she comes back, and she's at a little bit of a distance, the narration says, where she sees some men approaching and throw the filth of animals and the remains of animals on the Holy Prophet as he is in the state of sujood. These are the early days of Islam. These are the early days of Islam. Lady Fatima alayhi salam, this young child, she goes to the Holy Prophet and she begins to wipe away and clean off the filth that these men, supposed men, had dumped on the Holy Prophet. And it was in days like these that as the Prophet would finish his prayer and see his young daughter cleaning the filth off of his body that was dumped on him, he would smile at his daughter and describe her as what? Ummu Abiha, the mother of her father. Now, how can a man who is being persecuted, being trashed, being ridiculed and mocked, how can he continue to smile throughout all of this? How can this man, when he's literally just walking home every single day, he's walking back home, and every single day the same woman comes out and throws trash on him? And I want my young brothers to realize this and listen to this very closely. She throws trash on him every single day. And he just brushes it off, smiles at her, and continues on his way. One day she doesn't come out. You and I would be relieved. Thank God. No trash today. My dashdasha, my thobe, I'm keeping it clean, chilling. No. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa he is concerned. What happened with her? Is she okay? Knocks on the door, realizes, finds out she is sick in bed, cares for her at her bedside. When she realizes, who is this nice young man who is caring for me, feeding me soup, giving me things, taking care of me? She's like, Muhammad? I trash you every single day, and now you're at my bedside? Why? It would be as if Rasulullah would respond and say, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ مَكَارِمَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. I was sent to perfect the best of ethics, the best of social dynamics. You and I, it's easy to be kind to someone who's kind to you. But can you be kind, merciful, a broad chest, not filled with hate, not filled with enmity, not filled with ready to fight, filled with mercy and love and kindness to embrace those who are too ignorant to see the truth? Can you and I do that? If you want to be a follower of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wa alihi, you have to. So my young brothers and sisters, people will call you names. People will ridicule you. People will mock you. You Shia, you're not Muslim. You Shia, you don't belong. You Shia, you are Ahlul Bid'ah. People will ridicule you. They will mock you. just like the people ridiculed our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just like the people mocked and scorned and belittled Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam, who would dare to challenge Ali? Who? But people did. Not only did they challenge him, they cursed his name. Do you think that if our Prophet faced this, Lady Fatima faced this, Imam Ali faced this, Imam al-Hasan faced this, to this day, we just commemorated Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, to this day Imam al-Hasan is misunderstood. To this day Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, people accuse him of being a pacifist. People accuse him of a man who did not want to go to war with Muawiyah because he was too weak in his morale. Imam al-Hasan told his companions, you know I am the first amongst you in battle, but this peace treaty must happen, because if it does not, none of you would remain. And Imam al-Hasan saved their lives and the lives of their families, because Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, as our teachers and our scholars taught us, what did Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam do through and through? What did they do all the time? If you're wondering, why did the Prophet do this? Why did Imam Ali do this? Why did Lady Fatima do this? Why did Imam Ali alayhi salam not fight against those who took away his rights? Because if Imam Ali alayhi salam, if it was truly his right, would he not fight for his right? No, my dear brother. No, my dear sister. It's not as simple as that. Because what? Imam Ali explains it to you. Imam Hassan explains it to you. Lady Fatima explains it to you. Imam Ali said, so long as this transgression is only against me personally, and the faith is protected, and the believers are not harmed, so be it. Imam al-Hasan alayhi salam, before his peace treaty with Muawiyah, he had several terms that had to be met. And by those terms, my dear brothers and sisters, those were the terms that the public would recognize. And Imam Hassan's army would turn from essentially being a failing army to being now a publicly recognized political opposition to Muawiyah and the Umayyads. That when Muawiyah would take the last straw and appoint Yazid, then what would happen? Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, regardless of what you believed, he was your Imam or not, regardless of your creed, regardless of your millah, regardless of your theology, regardless if you saw him as the Imam or not, Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, by that publicly recognized treaty, Imam al-Husayn was in the right. And all the Muslims who really looked at that truth realized it. Again, regardless of what they believe theologically, Imam or not Imam. Now when you're looking at all of this, and we're seeing the Holy Prophet ﷺ, Imam Ali, Lady Fatima, Imam al-Hasan, Imam al-Husayn, Imam al-Sajjad, and the rest of our Imams. Two things they always had, and this is so important for our social dimension that we're talking about here tonight. They were always protecting two things. Two principles. I'll share in Arabic and I'll translate. Hifz al-Din, there was this principle, this doctrine of Hifz al-Din wa Hifz al-Dima'. Protecting, safeguarding the religion, Islam, and protecting and safeguarding, Dima' literally translates to blood, but what's intended here, the meaning is life, human life, from the believers and on. So look at Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, look at Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. On the day of Ashura, many people will ask the question, why is it that Imam al-Husayn only had 70 some companions? Why is it that Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam had such a small group of people? How is it that this nation would leave Imam al-Husayn in such a way? Yes, they did. But I want you to pay attention to something that Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam made clear throughout his journey. From Medina and Mecca and beyond in the journey and the road to Iraq. Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam told the people, listen, I am going to my death. You do not need to follow me. Any of you who wishes to leave can leave. I will not blame them. This wasn't a trick question by the Imam. The Imam is an extension of Rasulullah, protecting the message of Rasulullah. When he's saying, his words are immaculate. He's sharing with you the divine intention. He's telling you, you can leave. However, for those who stay, you will have a reward like no other. For those who stay. So Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam, when he left Mecca, and on the road to Karbala, on the road to Iraq, they say, some narrations tell us, that historical accounts noted thousands with Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam at some point during the journey. When did it drop significantly? Was after the news of Muslim ibn Aqil came forward. Now remember, Muslim ibn Aqil, Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam, Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam, when did he leave Mecca? Because he cut his pilgrimage short and he left. When did he leave Mecca? Anyone know? What day did Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam leave Mecca? The day before Eid. When was Muslim ibn Aqil slaughtered? When was Muslim ibn Aqil executed? In those same days. But news, unlike today, news takes time to travel. So in that time of Hajj, believe it, brothers and sisters, Muslim ibn Aqil was the slaughter of the Umayyads. Just like how the people in Hajj was slaughter for Eid al-Adha. Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, when he received the news about a week or two later on his way to Karbala, some of the companions urged that Imam al-Husayn, do not share this tragic news. It will defeat the morale of the army, of your men. He said, I'm not going to share this news. They have to know. Imam Hussain alayhi salam didn't hide anything from anybody. He wasn't mobilizing an army so that he can seek a position of authority. He made it clear, he made his intentions clear. I have not come seeking fame or authority or rule over anyone. I have come for al-islah. Fi ummati jaddi. I have come for the reform of the nation of my grandfather Muhammad. Nothing other than that. So when the news came of Muslim ibn Aqil, Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam shared it. Why? He wanted to make sure that everybody realized what was going to happen. And you realize he continued to share that news. The news of the death that was imminent. The eve of Ashura, Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam gathers all of his companions. And he says to each of my companions, take a member of my family and ride through the darkness of the night and save your souls, for they only quench for my blood. They only thirst for my blood. Then Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and Habib ibn Mudahir, the sons of Aqil, the sons of Muslim, they all come forward. They say, Ya Aba Abdullah, how could it be? The sons of Aqil, Imam Husayn's cousins, they said, how could it be that people will say the sons of Aqil left their Imam, left Ibn Ali ibn Abi Talib before the day of Ashura? Zuhair ibn al-Qayn comes forward, he says, Ya Aba Abdullah, let me die and be burned and die and be burned 1,000 times over, and I will never leave you. Why? Why? These men understood beyond the transmission of this passion from heart to heart. Imam Ali alayhi salam says, what comes from the heart enters the heart. So hopefully what's coming from my heart, I hope it enters your heart. But beyond the passion, these men understood Tawheed. These men understood La ilaha illallah. And because their understanding of La ilaha illallah through the individuals that manifested its meaning, The first of them being Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want you to challenge yourself here tonight and realize this connection that we have with Ahlul Bayt, starting from the king of Ahlul Bayt, the sultan of Ahlul Bayt, the authority of Ahlul Bayt, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want you to realize when we say our tashahhud, what do we say? Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Khayru khalqillah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi as the best of his creation. Khayru khalqillah. Muhammad, there is no better than Muhammad. Nobody. No one. No one. And Muhammad is the first to testify. La ilaha illallah Muhammad. Me? Who am I? Abduhu. Abduhu. Rasul comes after. The reality of the human being, the success of the human being, you and I, for this world and the next, you want to see success? Manifest ubudiyah. Ubudiyah. To Allah. To Allah. To Allah. And then when you see the individuals whom Allah sent you and gave you as the perfect guide, you hold on to them for dear life and death. That's why Zuhair ibn al-Qayn and the rest of the companions, they said on the eve of Ashura, let us die 1,000 times over and we will never leave you. Why? They understood what it meant to be a abd. The greatest honor of the human being. Because brothers and sisters, Ashura and Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam, if it does not invigorate in you and I the reminder of what it means to be an honorable human being, every single moment throughout Ashura was a testimony of honor, was an experience of reinvigorating what honor meant. You and I, if we're lacking some honor in today's age, let's go back to Ashura and see what honor is all about. Our faith, our religion, our practice, it's all about honor. As men, as women, men be men, women be women, be honorable. Stop competing with one another. Complete one another. Enough. Move forward. Realize your role as a human being. Enough with this dichotomy. Enough with this drama. Enough. Focus on you as a abd of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Remember what I started off with? The paradigm? Some people may not even realize, what are you talking about? It's a different paradigm. It's a different worldview. But I challenge you, if you take on this paradigm, you take on this worldview, you will be successful in every aspect of your life. Socially, financially, physically, intellectually, and spiritually. You will see success like you've never seen before. Because what? Your foundation is what? Islam. What is Islam? Ubudiyah. What's ubudiyah? Servitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not me getting it done, it's Allah. I'm not the man. I'm not getting it done. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything I have good in my life, it's from Him. That's it. When you realize that as a man, and now I'm just talking to my brothers here. When you realize that as a man, you come into your manhood and your masculinity in a whole different way. You realize what your role is in this world, what honor really means. Through ubudiyah. You submit to only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are gracious with the rest. How can you and I come into that manhood? How can you and I come into that masculinity? Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi defined it perfectly for you. Ali ibn Abi Talib lived it perfectly for you. Just look at them. Look back to what Imam Raza alayhi salam said. Just share what we told them. Just go back to what we're saying, man. Don't complicate it. And live. Because that's what Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam want for us. You and I, we don't know how many years, how much time we have in this world. We don't. But guess what? You are to live it, no matter how much time it is, to its fullest. to its absolute fullest. Now some may misunderstand that. What does that actually mean? Be present. Be present. When we say labbaik, what does that mean? I'm here. Be here. Be present for Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam. You want to be a Husaini? Be a Husaini in every aspect of your life. When you're angry, hold it. Your anger is only supposed to be for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're furious, you want to break something? Yeah, everyone can break something. Can you hold it? And then channel your anger, channel your passion in a way that's going to serve the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You and I, we all have anger. We all have frustration. We all have things that bother us. We're human beings. But how do we take that and make it something that allows us to grow? Makes it where the brother sitting next to me feels me, and I feel him, and I can support him, and he can support me. Because if you and I, we can't sit next to one another and feel that support and feel strength from one another, then what are we doing here? Let's all go back home and listen to the lecture and the majlis online. This is strength. Build on that strength, but really build into it, really lean into it. Who here is staying for ma'tam, to pound your chest? Who here is staying to pound your chest tonight, inshallah? Beautiful. And if you're not, I encourage you to. Let me tell you why. When you're coming to pound your chest for Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, mind you, you can commemorate and mourn Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam in any which way you are comfortable with. Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam welcomes us all. I'm not here to judge whether you're a Husayni or not. I'm no one to judge you. Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, he is accepting everyone. Look at the millions that are walking towards him. Millions, Shia and non-Shia alike, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, all walking towards Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, accepting everyone. But I will tell you this, when you're coming, there's a special energy that exists with the purity of intention as a baseline. When you are coming to join in the mourning of Lady Zainab, and Imam al-Sajjad, and the rest of the orphans of Karbala, in remembering what they saw. I want you to picture this. When you pound your chest for Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam, I want you to imagine Zainab, Sakina, Imam al-Sajjad, Rabab, Ramla, all of them who would watch Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam at a distance after he was beheaded and the horses trample upon his chest. Did they hold themselves back from pounding their chest when they saw that? Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam invigorates in us the human experience at its purest level. You can cry. You can mourn. The people who say don't mourn. Do you not wish for me to be a human being? Don't cry. Do you want me to harden my heart? I am crying over Rasulullah and his family. Each and every single one of them who was oppressed by their own people, and trying to remember what they went through so that I don't cause an insult to the injury that already exists. So yes, be proud of being a Shi'i. Be proud of being a Muwali, a lover of Ahlul Bayt. You are protecting Islam and safeguarding it. You may be a minority in number, but the fire in your heart is what protects Islam. Don't lose that. Don't forget that. Don't let anybody make you forget that. Our Imams told us, be proud of your name. The companions asked them, what is our name? They said, you are Shia. Be proud of your name. the Shi'i, your core identity, your identity in Islam, your identity in monotheism, your identity in humanity. These are 4 spheres in your social dimension and your social dynamic. You being loyal to your core identity does not mean that you are not integrated in your society and you're not a mercy to society. Don't let anybody fool you in that. But you know who you are because you know your history. Hold on to it. And be a mercy to those around you. Once you see that, live, work, be successful. Because Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam want you to be there in every single aspect. Inshallah, every single night, we're going to delve deeper and deeper into these different dimensions and see how we can truly bring Islam and the love of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam and this ubudiyah into every aspect of our life. Inshallah. Now, brothers and sisters, join me in going back not just to the land of Karbala, but the land of Medina, where the tragedy of Imam al-Husaini alayhi salam was recited even before it happened. If the brothers can dim the lights a little bit, so inshallah, we can take ourselves back to this time. And I'm going to ask you, I started off with saying how we will recite in every language. This just so happens to be English for us. But I guarantee you, if we were in a different place, in a different time, the language may be different, but the love is the same. The heart is the same. The intellect is the same. Our language is Hussein. So join me in this language, in this recitation, as we remember Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. If I tell you this tale of sorrow, will you lend me your hearts to borrow? If I tell you this tale of sorrow, will you lend me your hearts to borrow? Will you shed a tear for Hussein? Will you remember Zainab's pain? If I tell you this tale of sorrow, if you can recite the words with me, if you can catch along with it, recite with me. If I tell you this tale of sorrow, will you lend me your hearts to borrow? Will you shed a tear for Hussein? Will you remember Zainab's pain? If I tell you this tale of sorrow, will you lend me your hearts to borrow? Will you shed a tear for Hussein? Will you remember Zainab's pain? And if we stay here tonight until tomorrow, will you bear this tale of sorrow? Listen here to Hussein's story, a story of heartache and glory, a story of heartache and glory. And if we stay here tonight until tomorrow, will you bear this tale of sorrow? Listen here to Hussein's story, a story of heartache and glory, a story of heartache and glory. On the day of Ashura, in the land of Karbala, in the final moments of Imam al-Husayn, when he laid on the sands of Karbala, and the enemies of Allah had surrounded him, they say that Lady Zainab ran down to Imam al-Husayn, and she threw herself on Imam al-Husayn, calling to him, my brother, don't leave me. she began speaking to Imam al-Hussein, telling him, my brother, I just wish to hear your voice once more. Kallimni, speak to me, my brother. But Imam al-Hussein would not respond. Brothers and sisters, Imam al-Hussein had been covered with arrows and wounds in his body from head to toe, bloodied all over. Imam al-Hussein was in his last hours. Lady Zainab tells him, by the right of our grandfather Rasulullah, speak to me. He does not respond. By the right of our father Ali, speak to me, Ya Hussein. But he does not respond. She tells him, by the right of our mother Fatima, speak to me, Ya Hussein. Imam al-Hussein finally tells her, Ya Zainab, you've broken my heart to pieces. Go back to the women and the children. Brothers and sisters, on that day, Lady Zainab would tell Imam al-Hussein, but my brother, I wish to remember our days as children together. Do you remember the days when we were in the lap of Rasulullah? In these last hours, Imam al-Hussein and Lady Zainab would go back and forth in their childhood. Brothers and sisters, I wish to take you back to that time that Lady Zainab would remind Imam al-Hussein about. In the city of Medina with Rasulullah and Ahlul Kisa. Rasulullah was playing with Imam al-Hasan and Imam al-Hussein. They were children, 5-6 years of age, as they always would. They were playing with Rasulullah, sitting in his lap. He's embracing them, holding them, hugging them and kissing them. But on this day, Rasulullah, he would kiss Imam al-Hasan on his face. And then he would kiss Imam al-Hussein on his neck. Imam al-Hussein would go to the next room to Lady Fatima, his mother. He would tell her, my dear mother Fatima, my grandfather kissed my brother Hassan on his face, on his mouth, but he kissed me on my neck. Why did he kiss me differently than my brother Hassan? She tells him, my dear, let's go to your grandfather Rasulullah and ask him. So they go back to Rasulullah and they ask him. And at this time, Imam Ali is sitting, Imam al-Hasan is sitting with Rasulullah. Lady Fatima asks Rasulullah, Abata, my father, Al-Hussein tells me that you kissed Al-Hasan on his mouth, but you kissed Al-Hussein on his neck. What was the reason for this? Please tell us. Rasulullah, his smile turned to a frown. He says, Yu'azzu alayya. Oh Fatima, it pains me to tell you, but I kissed Al-Hasan on his mouth because that will be the place of his poisoning and how he will be martyred. Lady Fatima says, Wa Hasana, my son Hassan is to be poisoned and killed. And he says, yes, my Fatima, but there is a greater tragedy than that of Al-Hasan. I kissed Hussein on his neck because the swords will fall and slaughter your Hussein. Lady Fatima says, my father, is it that Hussein will be killed and slaughtered? How is this going to be? Yes, oh Fatima, and he will be killed in a time without me, without you, without Ali, without Al-Hassan. As you were crying, oh follower, Lady Fatima was crying. She tells Rasulullah, Ya Rasulullah, if you're not there, if I'm not there, if Ali is not there, if Hassan's not there, then who will be there for Hussein? Rasulullah tells her, my dear Fatima, Allah will create for Hussein Shia, followers, ومحبين, lovers. They will cry for him. They will pound their chests for him. They will mourn him until the day of judgment. They say that Lady Fatima was rejoiced, but the tears are still flowing. She tells him, Ya Rasulullah, how do we repay these honorable people, these Shia, these lovers? He says, Ya Fatima, I will be their shafi', their interceder on the day of judgment. He turns to Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says, Ya Ali, what will you do for these Shia? Imam Ali says, I will take them to the pond of paradise and quench their thirst by my hand. Lady Fatima says, I will walk them into paradise myself. Imam al-Hassan then says, and I will walk them on the path, on the sirat. And they all look towards Imam al-Hussein, who they say he's sitting Jalsat al-Hazin. He has his head between his knees. Rasulullah then says to Al-Hussein, my dear Hussein, what will you do for your lovers, for your followers? They say that the young Hussein lifts his head and looks at Rasulullah and he says, Amma ana, as for me, whoever remembers me, I will remember him. And whoever visits me, I will visit him. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Know that when you send your salams to Aba Abdullah, no matter how far you are, he returns his salams to you. He says, whoever remembers me, I will remember him. Whoever visits me, I will visit him. I will never leave them. I will be with them in 3 times at the hour of their death. Listen, Ya Muwali, Ya Shi'i, listen. I will be with them in the hour of their death. I will be with them when their soul departs. And I will be with them in their grave. I will never leave them. Glad tidings to you who sheds his tears. Glad tidings to you who dresses in black. Glad tidings to you who mourns Hussein. For the greatest honor of our life will be serving Hussein, Hussein. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. We belong to Allah, and to Him we return. In the memory of our 8th holy Imam, Imam Raza alayhi salam, who told us, just remember what we say, share with the people what we say, and they will follow us. It's a reminder to us and everyone alike. In the memory of Aba Abdullah al-Husaini alayhi salam, the martyrs with him in Karbala, in the memory of Lady Zainab alayhi salam, who carried on this memory and told Yazid la'natullahi alayhi, she told him, by God, you will never erase our memory. And you, my dear brothers and sisters, you are a testimony to that. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by these tears to keep us on the path of Ahlul Bayt. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to unite us and bring us closer. No matter our differences, we are united in the love of Imam al-Husayn alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to heal our sick ones. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring our families closer to one another. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in our sustenance and our rizq. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to elevate us in the highest status of the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, so that we can proudly stand before them on the day of judgment. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give the blessings of this majlis, the blessings of Al-Fatiha, the blessings of Salawat ala Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad to all of our marhumin and those who made this majalis possible. بعد الصلاة على محمد وآل محمد الفاتحة صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين.
مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے. 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 ہائے جس کو زہر لوگ مسلمان نے دیا ہے. ہے جس کو زہر لوگ مسلمان نے دیا ہے. مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے. مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے. ہائے جس کو زہر لوگ مسلمان نے دیا ہے. ہائے جس کو زہر لوگ مسلمان نے دیا ہے. مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے. مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے. سب آگے کرو بند دعا ہے دعائی. ایک بی بی عزادارو یہاں شام سے آئی. لپٹی ہے جنازے سے نہیں سر پہ ردا ہے. مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے. مظلوم بے وطن میرا مولا رضا ہے. آئے ہیں جنازے پہ نبی شاہ امم بھی. کلثوم رقیہ بھی ہے معصومہ قم بھی. وہ بی بی ہے کربل میں جلی جس کی آبا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے روتے ہیں فرشتے بھی زمین اور زماں بھی ہائے لوگ کلم عیش بڑی کون و مکان بھی خیر النساء کے لالِ ماتم کی صدا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے مامون عباسی کی عنایت ہے یہ لوگوں ہائے آل پیغمبر کی اطاعت ہے یہ لوگوں سیدوں سے ذرا دیکھو یہ امت کی جفا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے سب آ کے کرو بند دعائی ہے دعائی ایک بی بی آزادار ہو یہاں شام سے آئی لپٹی ہے جنازے سے نہیں سر پہ ردا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے آئے ہیں جنازے پہ نبی شاہ امم بھی کلثوم رقیہ بھی ہے معصومہ قم بھی وہ بی ہے کربل میں جلی جس کی آبا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے مظلوم بے وطن یہ میرا مولا رضا ہے یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
اے غریب الغرباء اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغرباء اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغرباء اے میرے بھائی
رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا
اے غریب الغرباء تجھ سے ملنے کے لیے کتنے میلوں کا سفر تیری زینب نے کیا ہے اے غریب الغرباء اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغرباء مجھ کو پردیس میں یہ بات رلاتی ہی رہی دور ہوں گھر سے مگر سر پہ ردا ہے بھائی بنت زہرا نے مگر شام و کوفہ کا سفر بے ردا کیسے کیا ہے اے غریب الغرباء اے میرے بھائی تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا تیرے دیدار بنا بھائی نہیں رہ سکتی غم میں فرقت کا تیری اور نہیں سہ سکتی کیا مجھے بھول گئے تم کو بہنا سے ملے ایک برس بیت گیا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا تم کو زندان میں کہیں قید نہ کر لے کوئی میرے بابا کی طرح زہر نہ دے دے کوئی جی نہیں پاؤں گی میں سن کے مر جاؤں گی میں تم کو اگر کچھ بھی ہوا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا باپ کی طرح میرے سر پہ تیرا سایہ ہے اپنی بیٹی کی طرح تو نے مجھے پالا ہے تو ہے بھائی جہاں مجھ کو بلوا لے وہاں ہوگا احسان تیرا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا اے غریب الغربا موت سے پہلے مجھے ملنے برادر آ جا اپنی صغرا کے لیے اے میرے اکبر آ جا دل میں حسرت ہے میرے دیکھ لوں چہرہ تیرا پھر مجھے آئے قضا ہے اے غریب الغربا اے میرے بھائی رضا تجھ پہ ہم شیر فدا
السلام علیکم ابا عبداللہ السلام علیکم ابن رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ابن امیر المؤمنین السلام علیکم ابن فاطمہ زہرا سیدۃ النساء العالمین السلام علیکم ابو الفضل ابن امیر المؤمنین السلام علیکم یا غریب الغربا السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا صاحب العصر والزمان الامان 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 من فتنة الزمان السلام علیکم یا شیخ القرآن السلام علیکم یا خلیفۃ الرحمان السلام علیکم امام سلجان اجر اللہ تعالی فرجک وساہر اللہ مخرجک وظہورک ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, just really quick. I want everyone to note that the program is starting earlier than we've been doing. So please keep track of the time, inshallah. Tomorrow 7:40 will be namaz. Inshallah, we'll start the majlis at 8:10. 8:10 p.m. we will start the majlis, inshallah. Salawat par Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.